Joining me now is Professor Rebecca O'Malley, who is a chemist, and you've been a professor for a long time, and you're working on chemical portions of it that are interesting to me since I'm a medical doctor. We're looking at ways to make the body a little healthier, the ways to make things work a little better, and stop hurting ourselves. So there was something called the red wine effect, the French paradox, which was something we looked at as red wine was good for us, and we found out that it was helpful for our heart. And you had this idea, or actually one of your colleagues had this idea, and you kind of drilled down on that. Tell us about this new, or it's not really new, but this study that you're working on and these compounds that you found.
Well, Dr. Fitzpatrick was very interested in finding out which exactly the compounds were that caused the vasodilating. So he developed a method to extract from grape seeds a whole number of compounds, because it's not just one compound. And then in the lab, in the laboratory, he separated the compounds and was able then to test them with live rat aorta, and we were able to identify which of the compounds had vasodilating properties.
So, as you said, there's a lot of compounds.
Yes, so we were able to separate the ones that had vasodilating properties and the ones that didn't. So that was very useful. Mm-hmm. So at that time there was a slight problem because we could separate the compounds, but we were not able to identify them completely. So that's when he brought the project to me, and we took it into the lab with the mass spectrometer, and we were able to identify exactly what those compounds were. And to start off with, we did an initial study with a lot, and we extracted all the compounds and identified all the ones with vasodilating properties. And when we looked at the data, we could see that the ones which had the strongest vasodilating properties had certain commonalities. And so, for instance, they all had gallate groups, and they were all epicatechins as opposed to catechins. Mm-hmm. And so we took a patent first on the method of extraction, and then we decided to, as you had said, drill down a bit further and see if we could extract out the compound which we expected to be the strongest vasodilator. And so we identified that as a dimer, an epi-epi catechin, and with two gallol groups. So we called it the dimer, the epidimer. And we were able to go in and immediately pull it out of the mixture, and then separate it, identify it, confirm that's what we got, and then we were able to measure its vasodilating properties, and we found that indeed it has very strong vasodilating properties.
So these compounds, multiple, you're dealing with a bunch, and you find out which one's the most effective or efficient one, and your job was to identify and help with the extraction process. And how is this similar to the red wine effect? How is that the same idea? Obviously grape and grape seeds, so was that the primary piece of what the French paradox was, the red wine effect? Was it vasodilation, or was there more to it?
Well, I think there may have been more to it. The primary probably was the vasodilating, but most of these compounds are also antioxidants as well. So that's in terms of, that an antioxidant can affect your cholesterol levels too. But we actually didn't investigate the antioxidant effects. We looked at the vasodilating effects.
And this hits a specific area in the walls of the blood vessels. The nitric oxide system activates it to make it so it relaxes, so our blood pressure goes down.
Yes. And we do know that it's a nitric oxide mediated process, that we were able to show that in the lab too.
So this is not something that just happened yesterday. You guys have been working on this for a pretty good long time. Yeah. When did we first start noticing this?
Well, I came in, Dr. Fitzpatrick started the project before I got involved, but I think I got involved towards the end of just before 2000.
And then the process kind of went in place, and you had multiple patents out of this as well.
There's 2 patents.
So one of the processes to take it out, the extraction process, you got a patent for that. And then for the compounds themselves, is that another patent?
Another patent is for this particular one, which has the high vasodilating properties. So the patent covers the use of that compound for anything that involves vasodilation.
Very nice. Now, where else could this come from? We were talking a little bit earlier, in the grape seeds, it has a little bit higher quantity of it, but hard to get out. But it's in multiple different areas too.
Yes, you find these types of compounds with vasodilating properties in a lot of places. And of course, initially, people were looking in the red wine, and then of course into the skins of red grapes. And actually, there are some in white wine as well. It's just not in such high quantities. You can also find these compounds, these gallolated procyanidins are found in apples, and they're also found in, the apples and strawberries, and also in rhubarb.
Rhubarb, and you use that in the green tea as well.
Green tea and black tea, yeah.
So, but drinking all those and eating all those all together is probably not going to be the same as extracting this down out of this one piece.
No, probably not.
Probably not. So, even though you want to, shouldn't stuff yourself full of these. Let's wait for the extract and see if we can get the compound down.
Yeah.
Now, USF's kind of an interesting place. As a professor at USF, if you're an investigator, then they kind of share in the idea that not only the credit, but also the profit. So this is the next stage coming out on it. Even though it's been going on since 2000, they're finally at a stage where they're looking at having this perhaps marketed, and they've worked with another group, right?
Yes.
And this group's going to take it out and do the next stage.
Yes.
And that stage hopefully is going to find it in our grocery stores someday down the way.
Yeah.
All right, so I think the idea is interesting, and I think that a lot of us are going to get a lot of benefit from it. And we know that pretty much everybody has a heart, and everybody's going to need this vasodilatation issues, and it's going to make it so hopefully we have a better, longer life from this. Well, thanks to people like you, finding these little details for us makes our life much nicer as we goes on. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Now, USF has patented that technology. It's being made into a variety of products, including cosmetics and, of course, different medical devices.